Then you wonder if the NC State lost to Wake, again, it hurts Clemson. Miami didn't have NC State, and at the time when Clemson beat NC State was a good win. And so now when we go back into the committee room and we reevaluate and teams start to fall off, NC State now has weakened Clemson's resume and makes it easier to put Miami in that position. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. Miami being at number 2, they play a close game with Clemson. It makes it tough to get them out.
It definitely means something.
Exactly.
The committee is supposed to take each week as an individual week and go in clean slate. I didn't think they did that last week because Clemson struggled. If you watch the Florida State game, they struggled with Florida State until the end of the game. Now Clemson comes out this week. Yeah, it's nobody. They blow them out and you drop them down. Miami was dead to right a couple of times against Virginia, and I guess the committee said, you know what? Yeah, we'll look at this week individually, and we will reward them for the ACC game. I don't think there's the consistency there that you would want to see from the committee.
But you know what I do like about it is the fact that I would think that the committee perhaps recognized that Miami was coming off 2 highly emotional games and then coming into that early window kickoff, a little bit of a different situation, and recognize the human nature of it, and Miami found a way to win, Kirk, which I believe is to their credit.
Absolutely. That's the point. I think you can look at Virginia and their record and say Virginia's not that good, but it's a conference game after 2 very emotional games. We all were kind of anticipating them having a challenge against Virginia, maybe not that close of a game, but the way they finished that game. Again, I think peaking at the right time is important in the committee's eyes. Go back to 14 when Ohio State had to beat Wisconsin and they were with their 3rd quarterback, and the way they were playing at the end of the year, I think had a lot to do with why they got the benefit of the doubt when it came to rankings over TCU and Baylor that year. So I think the committee really looks at the way teams are trending. And Booger, you're right. We should look week to week, all the way from the beginning of September all the way through. But I do think, whether we want to admit it or not, how teams are playing at the end of the year when you're trying to separate and split hairs, that definitely comes into play. One last thing about Oklahoma. It's almost like a team we never talk about because they're sitting there at 4. If you're an Oklahoma fan and you're nervous that you're at 4 and here comes undefeated Wisconsin behind you, just relax. If Oklahoma wins out and they're able to win the Big 12 championship game, which isn't a foregone conclusion, but if they do, they're fine. They don't have to worry about undefeated Wisconsin passing them by. Oklahoma, just a team we tend to not talk about. I personally have Oklahoma at 1, and I think it's a very good football team with the best player in the country right now in Baker Mayfield, but I don't think they're in any trouble, obviously, at all, sitting there at 4.
And Booger, I think what